We back
We here.
with another Mental Fitness Hub,
Fourth episode.
episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
we've haven't come a long way yet, but we trying,
We trying.
and we're back in person.
Yes, sir.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
First time since I think our second episode,
yeah, about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
and I feel like that was a really good episode. So we're back to be back in person. I don't think we're gonna be as long as we have in some of our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
We've had hour-long, 2-hour-long episodes. We're gonna try to make this one more like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with that because
Yeah.
the way we like to talk and what we talk about, sometimes we can get off on rants. But this is the Mental Fitness Hub.
The mental fitness hub, man. You can never talk too much about mental health. So yeah, we're gonna try to keep it concise, but we're passionate about this, and we have some good topics we're gonna talk about today, and we'll see how they go. We'll see how they go.
I think we always got to start off with, I think, at least until the season's over, Kansas State. I know plenty of fans are interested in what we have to say about K-State. They just won a big game on the road, the first road game that they've won in a long time, since early January
Mm-hmm.
when they beat Baylor in Texas in back-to-back games.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost every road game since then until they went to Stillwater and took care of business
Mm-hmm.
in a fun game. They took care of business 73-68 in a place that's not easy to play. And I think they showed a lot of resilience. We saw some really good stuff from both stars that we like to talk about, Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson.
Yeah, and I'm starting to. We were watching the game together actually, and
Mhm.
I'm really becoming a big fan. Was Sales?
Desi Sills,
Desi Seals, man.
big piece.
Yeah, when you look at the stat sheet, it may not look like he scores the most amount of points or has just like a crazy stat line, but if you watch the games, man, you notice that the times where he delivers, the times where he's scoring or making a big defensive play are at pivotal moments of the game, and I'm just like, dude, this guy is a key piece to this Wildcat team for sure.
And he's a team first dude. I mean, we're talking about a guy a veteran that's been in he played at Arkansas his first couple of years in college basketball, then went to Arkansas State, so obviously has some strong ties to that state and grew up there in Jonesboro actually. So, but when he came to K-State, I mean, we talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Before he even got to campus, coaches were sending him, not highlights, but practice footage so he could start to get up to speed before he got to campus because he was a late arrival thanks to some school stuff he had to finish up in the summer to make sure that his credits would transfer and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Once that happened, once I knew he was coming to campus, I was like, this could be a pretty good squad based on the other guys that they picked up, like Keontae Johnson and such.
Mm-hmm.
Desi Sills was a key piece, and he was, doing six-man stuff for the longest because Jerome Tang said after the last home game that or it was 2 home games ago actually, when he finally got to start, he said he could have started a long time ago. They wanted to make sure he could still get the six-man of the year award in the league, which is a certain amount of games that you can start. That takes away that award, So he Coach Tang figured out the amount of games that he has to play off the bench. He hit that number, and Coach Tang said, "We're putting you in the starting lineup because you're that good." What do you think about that
I think that's pretty cool that Coach Tang, did that for him and wants to give him a shot at winning six-man of the year. And talking about, you mentioned that he was a late arrival. I think it speaks to his commitment to still make sure that he shows up, even though he's showing up late. To make sure that he shows up and he's prepared. He was looking at film that the coaches were sending him from their practices.
Mm-hmm.
I heard he was really just staying ready, just making sure that preparation level was there and not using his late arrival as an excuse by any means. Now, some people may think, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. You're playing college ball, but you'll be surprised. Not a lot of people, not a lot of players have that commitment to the game. So it just speaks to how, him and his coaches that he had growing up, making sure that he prioritized commitment. And it's not a coincidence that he came to K-State and he's doing what he's doing on the basketball court. So Man, I'm a fan. It's, I've been seeing him ball out, show up consistently for us. And yeah, I'm looking forward to how he does the remainder of the year.
He's a lefty. If you haven't found out yet, I'm a lefty, so I have a little soft spot for lefties as well.
Yeah.
And he's so quick with the basketball in his hands.
Mhm.
The only thing that he struggled with somewhat is consistently shooting the three. But man, he does everything else at such a good level. He attacks the basket on offense really well. He's a good facilitator for a shooting guard, an off guard. And the thing he's brought to this team more than anything else, I think, is his defense of intensity. Has made him one of the best defenders on a team that I think has some quality defenders like Marquise Noel, who does a really good job at his size, and he had I think 3 or 4 steals today. Desi Sills, he does his job on defense. He gets about 30 minutes a game, which is starter minutes. He's been that way all season long. Now he's finally starting, and he had a solid game. And he's going through some stuff. It's not some easy things that that I think that the type of things that I think college basketball players have to go through. And this could be a trying time for him right now, but he's showing up, and he had 10 points on 3 of 7 shooting in Stillwater. Because I'm not going to get into the details of anything, because that's private stuff with the team. But he's showing up, and ever since he started, I think he adds good defense right away on that end, and then really solid ability to just get to the rack.
Yeah, that's what I'm noticing too. So, and it's good. It is good that he's with us on the team, providing that defensive presence that we need, along with Marquise Noel. Keontae shows some. Obviously, we know what he can do, but I really admire his defense as well. So, yeah, man, a good piece. A guy I think is definitely shows some great mental toughness. I think this Wildcat team has shown a lot of great mental toughness, showing up and delivering at key moments in games. That's just another reason outside of me being a K-State alum. That's just another reason why I love this team. Outside of all that bias.
Yeah, we're both K-State grads, so we bleed that purple through and through.
That's right.
Well, I still try to
Purple
write
and
for
white.
it. But yeah, no, check out K-State online. Check out On3 if you haven't, because that's where I write stuff and about K-State. So I would love for you to come over to that website and check out what I'm writing and the guys I work with over there. But I do love talking about K-State with my guy over here. We got to talk about Keontae Johnson today.
Yeah.
He had such an efficient game, and he hasn't been. He's been one of the dudes that can sometimes get taken advantage of on the defensive end for K-State, just because he doesn't have as quick a feet as some of the other guys out there. But I think he's also very smart in where he uses his energy, because he knows he is most useful on the offensive end, and that's why he shows up so much on that end. He's just so efficient, and I knew this coming in out of Florida. Just watching his highlights at Florida, you could tell he picks his spots so wisely. He does not force many things. He comes to K-State. That's exactly the player he is. 17 points, and I think that's a perfect compliment for a guy like Marquise Noel, who isn't afraid to be a volume shooter and be a guy that misses a lot of shots. Keontae balances that out with really efficient shooting. And it shows up. 7 of 13 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. He's been shooting the 3 so good this year.
His shot was looking so nice today.
Off the bounce too. Yeah, he's got everything in his bag offensively.
And one word that I'll use to describe Keontae Johnson: motor. Like I said, yeah, he may have what you say. He don't have the quickest feet, but he's going to bring that motor every single night, that energy, and I feel like it's contagious and trickles on down to the rest of the players on the team. So I'm a really big fan of Keontae Johnson. Very resilient guy. All of you all heard the story, and he's working with a lot of he always brings the energy, and I love it.
And I'll say too, because a good point about his motor, because that's not something a lot of people bring up about him, but that's a great point.
Motor, man.
Because we're talking about a dude that played 39 minutes and just played efficient basketball the whole time. You can't do that without a motor, without being able to stay fresh. And he knows what he is so good at out there. He rebounds the basketball too, which is important on that end, defensive end. So he does have that ability. But when he gets going on offense, he's hard to stop, and so is Marquise Noel.
Mm-hmm.
That man had 38 minutes, 22 points, 5 of 12 shooting from the field, 3 of 8 from the 3-point line, which is good to see from him to, connect from there. He actually went, I think, he really shot the pointer well last game. But something he's been doing amazingly the last couple weeks is getting to the free throw line and converting, especially late in games. He went 9 of 10 today after going 10 of 10 from the free throw line last game. Just
for the whole
19
season,
of 20,
89% from the free throw line.
It's not easy.
No.
When can we get? Because he's even brought up how Steph Curry's obviously a huge factor and a role model, growing up. Because we see where Marquise Noel is really kind of like the college version of what Steph does in the NBA. He's not afraid to pull up from way deep if you leave him open. And Noel's brought up that, he wants to meet Steph. I've tried to tweet out saying, hey, Steph, you better check out what Keith is doing because this is some, real good stuff. And, he had his slump, in some of the month January and February, but he's starting to get it back. He's starting to find his groove back again, which is huge because we've talked about it. He's the arrow of this team.
Yeah.
And that continues to prove itself true.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, you feel a similarity when it comes to Desi Seals being a lefty. I feel, I draw a lot of inspiration from Marquise Noel because he's a small guy. I'm a small guy. We're both probably the same height.
Yep.
5'8"? Yeah, just go ahead and give us 5. Just go ahead and give us 5'8". We'll say we're both 5'8". But man, dude, we talked about it in the previous episode. Or maybe was it episode 2?
We talked in 3. We talked about it in every episode, really. But we really hounded it on that last episode, and you made a little clip about it on our Instagram. Check out our Instagrams.
Yeah. Check us out. But click on the handle. It'll probably be in the video. But anyways, he was in a slump. But we knew he was going to come out because he's been through so much already. It's not easy playing Big 12 Division I basketball at his size, and it was just another challenge that he was facing, going through that slump. But as we've seen in the last 2 games, man, he's been shaking off the rust. Even though in the previous game, who did we play again? I know we just last game.
It was it all meshes up with me too. We played Baylor, beat Baylor, which is just a massive game. Yeah,
offensively. Keith didn't have the sexiest game or whatever, but because assists are a part of offense too. But as far as scoring the ball, his field goal percentage wasn't great, but he was breaking his defenders down. He was getting into the lane, making somebody come off of their man and dishing to somebody and picking up those assists. So that's why he finished the game with 10 assists against Baylor. Ended up catching a rhythm at the end of the game because they kept sending him to the line. And then he bounced back today with an efficient game.
5 from 12. Yep.
Yeah, against Oklahoma State. So I really like how the Wildcats are looking, and we have 2 more games before they go to the Big 12 tournament. And man, I hope they continue to go into. I hope they go into the Big 12 tournament in rhythm.
That's the thing, and you mentioned it. 10 assists for Keith, 0 turnovers. Thanks to Tom Gilbert for letting us know that no other Wildcat has ever done that. 10 assists without a turnover, which is really incredible for a guy too.
Yeah,
that's been hounded on by K-State fans and other people for his turnovers. Because during the slump, when they did lose some games, back-to-back games to Texas Tech and Oklahoma, he was turning it over way too much. In this game, guess what? He turned it over way too much, but he shot it efficiently. When he's shooting it efficiently while turning it over too much, they can still win basketball games because he had 7 turnovers. That's a lot of turnovers. But guess what? He's still in a positive assist to turnover ratio because he had 8 assists. And then throw in on defense the team leading and probably game high 4 steals. Those 7 turnovers are the big blemish on his game, but everything else he did really well, and they don't win that game without those other things.
Yeah, he's a smaller guy, so yeah, it's gonna probably be some games where he has high turnover games, and usually the turnovers are attack turnovers where he's just trying to, if that makes sense. He's not being careless with the ball ever. You know, he's just trying to make a play on the end, and sometimes that's where his height can be a disadvantage.
That's true.
But you know what? You know, we see that, you know, that didn't hold him back from having a good game. He's still pretty efficient. He still managed to get 8 assists. So yeah, Wildcat fans, please, you know, take it easy. Take it easy on Keys.
And you know, when they're winning, I think Wildcat fans are still going to take it easy on him. But it's funny because during games, Wildcat fans will tear into him because of the turnovers when they start piling up
on Twitter.
Yeah, you know, Twitter is the place where fans love to tear into people, and you know, K-State fans are respectful enough.
Yeah.
But sometimes they do throw some stuff out there that pisses me right off.
Right.
I won't lie. Just because I can't. Because I understand from a fan's perspective. I get it. You're on Twitter. You don't know these people at all, you know, that are playing. So I get why it might be easy to tweet something about someone you don't even know personally. Because I've done it before, no doubt, about players, professional players, you know, all the time. Yes.
Yeah.
I think everyone's done it if you're a sports fan and you have a Twitter or a Facebook or whatever. But once in my position, once I start to get to know these guys, you know, I did it with Bruce Weber. That was clear. I stayed on his side through it all, you know, when fans attacked him from the jump. And sometimes I already felt like I had to do it with Jerome Tang when they were losing 2 games on the road and people were saying he should be embarrassed when the season, besides those, I mean, I get pointing out criticisms, but using words like embarrassed and stuff, it's just not a good look, especially when these people are on these platforms. And when they see that, you think they're thinking, "Oh wow, good thing he said that. I'm gonna go." I think Jerome Tang is getting motivation because someone said he should be embarrassed. No, you look sorry doing shit like that. Let's keep it real like that. So, but anyway, get off my
position you're in and the position I'm in as a mental performance coach. You know, I have more empathy. You know, it's not. People think it's just because that's the thing. You spend so much time preparing for competition or spend so much time doing something that you're really good at or do professionally that you're just supposed to do things easily. You're supposed to be perfect in these areas, but it's a lot of other mental factors that go into people performing at a high level. So I get frustrated too when I see certain tweets, and especially when they're calling people out, like how you just said.
I mean, you probably see it a lot since you're a Lakers fan. You probably follow Lakers Twitter. That's the thing. I'm talking about K-State fans. Listen, they annoy me sometimes, but that don't even scratch the surface what fans can be like in professional levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, spoiled brat sometimes. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. But you know, if you really take a look at what these people are doing, I'm speaking about collegiate and professional athletes. Like, you'll know it's just not. You just can't, you know, play at a high level on a snap of a finger. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So, K-State fans, be patient with the team. You know, you can't expect them to be perfect every time. Know that you have a head coach who is doing the best that he can to make sure these boys go out and perform at a high level each night, and you got players who care and want to win and want to really get it. I think they're thinking championship, winning the NCAA title, and I know that's not, you know, it doesn't come easy, right? It's a long process, but you better believe that that's their goal.
Oh yeah.
So respect that, understand that they're trying to get to that point, and sit back, relax, and enjoy them doing what they do best.
Coach Rodney Perry had a podcast with Coach Carter before the season.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
And the real coach. I seen him actually
in the Negro League Baseball Museum.
Yeah. In
Kansas City. Shout out to that place. That place is awesome.
Amazing.
And they had a really cool little interview in there on YouTube. I'll tell everyone they should check that out. Rodney Perry is on there. And catches Coach Carter off guard because he's saying, like, what do you expect in year one, you know, as an assistant at K-State? It's like, Coach Perry says we're thinking national championship. You know, we're not, you know, we're thinking Big 12 championship, national championship, no in-betweens. You know, you get the season started and things can change. But, of course, that's the vision, you know, especially for teams that want to, you know, reach that goal. Like, that's the vision you set up for yourself. And right now, they don't have the best road to a Big 12 championship because Kansas is really doing work. They're actually playing right now. which I should have that game on just so we can keep an eye on that score because that'll be interesting. If they can take care of West Virginia, it'll make it that much harder for K-State or Texas to sneak in and win that Big 12 title.
Mm-hmm.
But K-State's on a 2-game win streak, or what are we at? 2 or 3 game win streak right now. And that's just has K-State rocking and rolling right now. I mean, we're talking about, yes, they had that bad stretch where they went on the road trip against 2 teams that happen to be on the up and up. Texas Tech has an opportunity to sneak into the tournament if they keep winning games. So the Big 12 is just tough. And I think K-State today, this such a massive win to be able to prove that they can win on the road again in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And because they're going to have to do it again. I mean, they don't have to, but if they want to, maybe win that Big 12 title, they're going to have to do it again in Morgantown in the final regular season game next week.
And you better believe they can do it again.
Yeah.
you better believe that they believe they can do it again.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, I love the way that they're playing right now, and I do believe that they'll keep it up. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I mean, that's the thing is I don't know how much longer we need to talk about K-State. I do want to point out, I do want to just real quick touch on like where they're at in the conference and stuff.
Yeah.
That's real important, obviously. And, so that win pushes them to 10-6 on the conference season, which is incredible. 10 wins is really not easy to do. I think Bruce Weber did it 2 or 3 times in his career at K-State, maybe 4 times. I can't remember exactly.
It was one of those years when we went to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, yep. One of those years, because they won the Big 12 championship the year after that, actually. The year they went to the Elite Eight, I think they did win 10, maybe 9. But regardless, winning 9 or 10 games in the Big 12 the last 10 years has been really tough to do. Really tough to do. And it's just not easy to do. So the fact Jerome Tang is doing this in his first year already, he's got 10 wins, 22-7 overall. Just really good stuff. But they're sitting 3rd in the conference right now. Kansas is sitting at 1st at 11-4. So there's still a possibility. Kansas is playing right now. They're playing West Virginia right now. It's 73-68 with about 3 minutes left in the game. Obviously, if you're a K-State fan, I mean, even if most K-State fans are rooting against Kansas no matter what, but right now you're definitely rooting against Kansas if you want the seeding to come out in K-State's favor and maybe they can sneak out a Big 12 championship.
You know what? I think we are going to win the Big 12 championship, and I want to go through KU. That's how I feel. That's just how I feel as a fan. Okay, that just may be my heart speaking, but in reality, we do have a very good chance. You know what I'm saying? You saw how we played them in Bramlage. Yes, we felt Allen Fieldhouse is a tough place to play, and we fell short that game. But if
we beat them in Manhattan. We've already played them twice.
Yeah,
we've split those 2 games.
Split them. So I like our chances if we see them in the Big 12 tournament, man.
Ooh, I hope that happens.
I hope it happens too. So that's all I'm saying. Just a side note.
How many side note on that? Yeah. How many K-State fans want to see that? Because I bet you it's about split. Because some would be super nervous about a third matchup with Kansas. Others, like us, are hungry for that rematch to see who truly is the better team. Because that's the rubber match, you call it. Yeah. Split 2 games, the third game. That would be a fun matchup in Kansas City too.
What Jerome Tang said?
We hungry.
He said expect to win.
You remember that? He said that right away.
That's how I said that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Expect to win.
Expect to win. And so if we see him, we see him.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I can point out. I'll take some back of what I said about K-State fans sometimes being too passionate or whatever. I mean, Jerome Tang put a target on his back right away by saying that kind of stuff. That's some confident talk. Expect to win. He's a confident guy. So I can understand when you start 6-1 in conference play and then you lose to some of the basement dwellers of the league on the road that you can start to, get upset. But at the same time, hey, they win it. 22 games overall, 10 in conference. Big win today. We'll see what happens with Kansas. They finish the season out. The Jayhawks do with Texas Tech in Texas. So not the the toughest road in the world. Texas, their last game of the season is in Austin. That will be a massive game for them because Texas is also fighting for a Big 12 championship. They're number 2 in the conference, sitting at 11-5. And I'll just say right now, last thing for K-State, unless you want to add anything else, K-State has winnable games here to finish out the regular season. Could go out with 12 wins in Big 12, which is just incredible stuff for a first-year head coach. But Oklahoma at home, you got that on Tuesday. And then, or no, that's actually a Wednesday game this week. I think it's the first Wednesday game they've really played much this year, if I'm not mistaken. And then West Virginia in Morgantown on that, a week from today on Saturday. So that's how they're going to finish out the regular season. We both think that they can get both dubs because, first of all, those are vulnerable teams. But again, West Virginia is not easy to beat on the road. They have 5 conference wins, and they're playing Kansas tough right now.
Yep. See us looking over. We've got the game on right here.
It does look like Kansas is going to come out with this, though. They got a 7-point win. Yeah. Make that 5-point lead, I mean.
Yep, 1:44 to go. So we'll see what happens. But, yes, I expect us to get the next 2 wins. And, another side note, I expect Jerome Tang to get Coach of the Year as well.
There we go. That's a good drop at the end of this discussion about Kansas State because I agree. He deserves it. I think the only other guy you can maybe point out, I think, is Kelvin Sampson at Houston. Number 1 team in the country. What they're doing is incredible stuff. Bill Self's also been talked about as player of the country. But if you're going to give it to Bill Self, who's amazing, one of the best coaches of all time, for his, 11-win season so far in the Big 12, he's probably going to win the conference. If Jerome Tang is just behind him in Bill Self's however many years he's been coaching at Kansas, I think Jerome Tang deserves that Coach of the Year based on incredible first-year stuff. And, his buddy at Scott Drew said the same thing after K-State beat Baylor. His buddy said he's the Coach of the Year, and I'm not just saying that because he's my bro. So, yep, DeJuan Harris is limping off the court. That could be a massive storyline.
Yeah, my facial expression probably showed it all there. I'm saying, looking at him limping over to the bench.
Yeah, see, that's...
looks like an ankle.
But, I've seen him limp off the court. In Manhattan, he limped off the court and came right back in. And honestly, the few minutes that he missed were key and a big reason I think K-State won that game. He's a really good player. DeJuan Harris doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's not the flashiest point guard like a Frank Mason. But he gets it done defensively. He's one of the best defensive guards in the league.
17 points, 5 assists. You was talking about defense, 6 steals.
That's it. That's his bread and butter. But he has stepped it up offensively. I think he's been hitting threes more. Not to gush about Kansas so much, but they're easy to gush about because they have such a great team. Jalen Wilson's probably the player of the year.
Yeah. But we got nothing to... We don't have nothing to worry about. We can give them their credit.
No, exactly. That's a great point.
We ain't fearing anything.
Exactly.
So.
That's a Jerome Tang kind of mindset.
Game,
You know what Jerome Tang said after we beat them in Manhattan?
What's that?
This is the last time y'all are storming the court. He said this is there. He got up there with a microphone. Said, "Yep, enjoy this now.
Yeah, right.
Fans have been great, but this is the last time y'all are ever gonna, storm the court."
And that was right before he said, "Expect to win." Okay. Yeah. Hey. I got to experience the court storm freshman year. I remember that. But anyway, I don't want to go off topic, but. We can talk about that in another episode. But
I know. Storming the court is great, and I feel bad for anyone if Jerome Tang sticks around for 20 years that doesn't get to experience it. Yeah. But I do also like the mindset Jerome Tang has with that kind of thing because I agree. It's kind of little brotherish mindset to storm the court just because you beat Kansas. They want to make it a normal thing, beating the rival Kansas. Exactly. They don't want to put Kansas on a pedestal. And I think that's a great mindset to have. Not putting opponents on a pedestal because that's just how you already get beat before the game even starts,
Yeah. Only got to put yourself on a pedestal.
Exactly.
That way you're focused on just getting better each and every day. Those failures that you were talking about going on when they were in that little slump, guess what? They didn't be like, oh, this is horrible. We're not the team that we thought that we were. No, they went back and looked at those games, look at some of the mistakes they made, and then came back the next day, whether it was practice or a game that they had, and did better. And just grew from there, and that's all you can do. So I feel like we put ourselves up on a pedestal. We got that ultimate goal, that national title, and we're going for it. Man.
Some people could say that the peak of this Kansas State team was when they went 6-1 in the conference. I'm beginning to believe the peak is still coming. I think the peak is still coming. They went through that low, and I think the highs are just beginning. I mean, I know you and I are a couple of optimistic people, and we get together, the optimism pours out even more. But I'm not gonna say they're gonna sit here and go to a Final Four. But if what I'm saying is true, and they are peaking at the right time here at the end of the season, they could do some big things, like maybe win a Big 12 tournament. This team that K-State's got right now would not shock me to see them win it. Wouldn't be easy against these tough teams in the league, but it wouldn't shock me to see this kind of team win the Big 12 tournament, which is a goal that they have. And then if they win that, catapult them into possibly getting to a Sweet 16. Because if anything, in the second weekend, if they could even get to just that second weekend, the Sweet 16 and lose, then it's already an amazing season. Shoot, lose first round, it's already an amazing season based off of what they did in the regular season, and how it's a first-year head coach. I know that won't make many fans happy if they lose first round, but the point is, if what I'm saying is true, they're not going to lose first round. This team is peaking, I think, at the right time, whereas I think Kansas is peaking right now. I think Kansas is peaking at this very moment, although West Virginia is making this very interesting.
Yeah, the game is going on, but yeah.
But they're on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game win streak. Kansas had their slump, a couple weeks ago, and almost a month ago now. I think they're peaking now, and it's not a bad time for Kansas to peak, but I'm just not positive that I could see Kansas burning out, but come tournament time, and maybe being a Jayhawk, one of these few Jayhawk teams that doesn't make it to the second weekend. Is that the K-Stater in me saying that stuff? Maybe.
I believe.
Because Bill Self is that man. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
And they have some players like Jalen Wilson. But you know what they're missing?
What's that?
I know I just talked up DeJuan Harris a bunch, and maybe if he keeps this kind of play up, they'll be tough. But they don't have a Frank Mason on their team. And last year they won the national title. I guess they didn't really have a Frank Mason on that team either, but they won it. But they had a Ochai Abaji, who was a killer with the basketball. I mean, Jalen Wilson could be that guy, but I don't know. He's just a little bit different player. So, man, I think we talked a lot about that stuff.
Yeah.
You ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
We can update the score here, the final once it comes up. But looks like Kansas. Ooh, they're in a tough spot.
Yeah, they getting pressed.
But we do got to stick with college basketball since we're still talking about it. Huge story of this week, Brandon Miller. Sad and bittersweet stuff going on, obviously. I mean, nothing but sadness can be brought up when you're talking about a young woman, mother getting murdered in cold blood. Really sad stuff. And how it's, ruined the lives also of the guys that were involved in the murder. One of them was, an Alabama player, Darius Miles. Was, really involved in that altercation. And now that, there's things coming out saying that Brandon Miller, one of the best players in the country. I personally think he's the best offensive player in the country. He's only a freshman. I mean, we've watched him, before we recorded this podcast. I've seen a few of his games, and I continually say the same thing about him. He is super talented. And it's interesting. It's a touchy subject, but we don't mind talking about touchy subjects. No. And we need to talk about this one. So I want to get your thoughts. I want to make what Gary Parrish said. We got to bring that up because that's such an interesting thing. And I don't know if it's the right thing. I don't think I agree with it. But what do you think about Gary Parrish saying, if he wasn't such a good player, he wouldn't be playing for Alabama right now. If Brandon Miller wasn't such a good player, because allegedly he, gave the gun or had the gun in his car. The facts are still so
they're still up in the
misconstrued.
air.
We don't know all the facts. I don't think anyone really does, except for Brandon Miller, Darius Miles, and everyone in that situation. But from what it sounds like, it was Brandon Miller's car, and the gun was in the car, and his attorneys are saying he didn't know it was in there. So it's pretty sticky, and I'm sure there's some gray areas that that maybe he was more involved than we think, or maybe he wasn't more involved than we think. We really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, he's not being charged. Police have, I guess, come forward and say they don't have enough to charge him. So take that for what it's worth. But what do you think about Gary Parrish saying if he was a lesser player, he probably wouldn't be playing for Bama? Because I can see one side of a coach saying, man, you're dealing with this kind of distraction. Take a few games off or something. But then again, he's your best player. It's such an interesting situation. Do you agree? If he was a lesser player, he wouldn't even be on the bench, and he would probably be off the program.
I don't agree with that. I think if it was more facts, maybe we think that it's just blatant, like what he did is out there and he should be locked up. But I think it is like a lot of gray areas, like you said, and not enough information out there. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I think because he had the type of game that he had, because he is this big star, I think it's fair, and I understand why somebody has that perspective, but I don't agree with it. Now, I do want to say that I hope justice is served in this case. Very sad situation. A mother, I believe a daughter or son, 5-year-old son, was tragically killed. I don't know. Obviously we all don't know all the details and what happened. It still has to be settled in court or whatever. So I hope that gets involved. If he's as guilty as people are saying that he is, then definitely, he deserves to be put away for that. But I don't want to see it happen. But things have happened. It's such a tricky situation, man. It's so unfortunate. But right now, not all the facts are available. And they're still in investigation. So unless some more evidence comes out against him, I don't think it's fair for people to say that he needs to be locked up.
I think one thing I'm confident in saying is he wasn't the one that pulled the trigger, and he wasn't Darius Miles, because Darius Miles also didn't pull the trigger, but Darius Miles was entrenched in that situation. He was, I think, the motive behind the murder, based on some of the facts I've heard, or at least the allegations I've heard. But Brandon Miller sounds like, wrong place, wrong time kind of situation. And, obviously, these are at least one of these guys is his teammate, too. So a guy he trusts, you're going to trust your teammate, tells you to come do something for him. You don't know based on what his attorney's saying, he doesn't know what the situation is. But whatever the case, we talked, I think, enough about that, because at the end of the day, we're not lawyers. We're not going to get involved in that.
We
and
don't
while
know
he's
details.
exactly, but we can talk about this from a mindset standpoint, because the day this stuff comes out, they are at South Carolina playing, not a good South Carolina team. The South Carolina team has been, losing a lot of games this year. So, Bama's coming in there, number 2 team in the country. They're thinking, we're going to win this. But, hey, obviously the day before, they're thinking, we're going to smack South Carolina. The day of, all of a sudden, Twitter, every single place, Brandon Miller's story is just blowing up about how, and the facts initially were pretty scathing. They initially are basically saying he, for sure, gave this murder weapon to the guys he transferred the murder weapon to, the guys that committed the murder. And, whatever the case, so obviously this stuff's coming out. Imagine being Brandon Miller, being Nate Oates, their head coach, being that whole team, and the kind of distraction, going on a road game to South Carolina, and Brandon Miller basically single-handedly wins that game for him. Career-high 41 points, doing them. Probably had, I think, the dunk of the year that I seen
Oh,
in
man.
college basketball over two defenders, just dunked it on him. The way he turns the corner, the way he puts the ball on the floor, incredible stuff. But beyond it all, he blocked out all that distraction. Really nasty stuff just getting thrown out there into the world of news. And you know he's got that in his mind. And not only that, the fans are making sure he knows by screaming, lock him up and guilty, at least on two separate occasions while he's at the free throw line. And, really out of pocket stuff, really disgusting stuff to see. I mean, I know how students can be, so I'm not totally shocked. I've been in student sections, screaming FKU. In K-State student section, so I know how vulgar they can get. But man, that stuff, I don't think deserved that kind of stuff. But then again, that stuff's gonna happen at the college level with students and stuff.
Yeah.
And guess what? He I think instead of letting it rattle him, it motivated him, and he went and made sure they won that game late.
Oh yeah, he did, man. Like a lot of I grew up playing basketball, and when you got a lot of stuff going on in your life, adversity off the court, once you do get in that gym, that's your time to let it all out. And clearly, that's what he did. All the stuff that was going on, all the distractions with this, he just used the time to really, put all the energy that he had towards that game, and that's why he ended up performing so well. You can tell he was locked in, and it didn't help. Those fans started chanting, "Lock him up." That probably gave him some extrinsic motivation to shut all of them up, because I'm sure he probably thinks that he's innocent.
Yeah.
And he's hearing this stuff. You say he's the best player in the country. So somebody with that talent able to channel in and use the crowd, what they're saying as motivation, and to really just focus in on what he has going on with his team. It was just good. It was just good to see. And listen, I'm not, by any means condoning what he did, if he did do anything, but from a mental performance perspective, it's some good stuff that we just saw with this 41 point performance that he just put in the OT win, with the context that's in place there. So I love it. It shows emotional stability, putting his emotions and his energy towards the right things.
As a freshman, 18, 19-year-old going through this. Yeah. That's another thing. If he did that mistake, huge mistake. Yeah. Should have never been done. And he probably should be,
he has to face the consequences.
Face the consequences, whatever that is. Which would probably be, you can't play basketball anymore for the time being or whatever. But I've made mistakes at that age. I've made plenty of mistakes at that age. It's so easy to.
Same here.
And I'm not going to sit here and, I don't know what his upbringing was like, but I know from my personal experience, I've had a great upbringing with parents that cared for me and stuff. Obviously, there's some hiccups here and there, but I'm not going to blame my parents for anything, and yet I still did some bad things around that time, nothing violent, I'll say that, but I got into trouble here and there for things that I just shouldn't have done. But so I can understand a guy that's going through something that, at that age, but man, he's in a completely different situation. He's a possibility of being a number 1 pick in the NBA draft next year. He's got so much on the line, and I don't think this one really bad mistake, if it was true, should just completely trash a whole career. Especially when we're not talking about someone who committed a murder. We're talking about allegedly, someone transferring a weapon that supposedly he didn't know about. So obviously, I'm getting back into the weeds of the situation, but the fact is, I'm not going to sit here and say that he needs to pay for something like this for the rest of his life, when he has so much still going for him. because that is a interesting thing that Gary Parrish brought up. Because I almost do agree with some of what Parrish is saying. If it's a lesser talented player that brought that kind of distraction to a team, he might get let go because of just that distraction alone could affect a team's performance out on the floor. But I don't know if it'd go beyond that, because like you said, we don't know whether he did it or not. So it's just like, how are you gotta let the court play out, and if police are saying that there's nothing we can get him on, then I think that's just it. Like I think you can't knock a coach too much for letting a guy play when, especially if he wants to play. I don't know, like if there's nothing legally stopping him from playing and he didn't, do something, specifically to hinder the NCAA or Alabama or whatever to make that call, then he should play. I don't know. I just don't think it's a bad call. And then we see what happens. He plays, and they lose that game if he doesn't play, probably by a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, without a doubt about it. And like I said, I think if he did something and if it was more evidence, he would not have played. I think information got leaked to the media that probably maybe it wasn't supposed to, and it got blown up, and people are looking like, why isn't he playing? We know how social media is. We know how, the media can be sometimes when they get some information. It could, you can put 100 on 10. It could seem worse than what it actually is. Now, granted, it's a jacked up situation. It's already bad. But, maybe the police got a tip on something. Media got a hold of it, and now it just makes it look like this guy's been showing he's getting favoritism shown towards him when it's some actual like hard evidence that came out that showed that it was his gun and he was a distributor of the weapon. But maybe it's actually not that clear to the police. So we'll see how it all plays out, man. But regardless of what happened, we still had the opportunity to see him play with these circumstances, facing this scrutiny and this adversity, and he delivered, man. He had the concentration throughout the game. He was able to really, really hold his composure and just put his energy towards, his opponent and towards his game, and he was able to rise above and hit a game winner for them at OT, and I think that's impressive, So we'll see what happens, man. And my thoughts and prayers go to the young lady who lost her life and her son that is left here without his mother. Very, very sad situation. So yeah, that's all I would.
Yeah, no, I think we've touched on that enough, and I agree. Thoughts and prayers, because that is a sad situation. That's the saddest. That's why I get why people can get reactions the way that they get them and say no, he shouldn't be playing, and
especially the parents,
because
they're right.
That's totally understandable.
Yeah,
I would be the same way as a parent.
I would probably be upset seeing them play too if I heard some information that he was involved somehow.
It's understandable, no doubt about that.
Some more evidence has had to be shown, apparently. So
yeah,
I hope they get it taken care of. If he's guilty, I believe he has to deal with those consequences.
Absolutely.
But right now, I do
let
think
it play out.
Yeah, we just got to let it play out, man.
Let's move on. I think maybe last few things we want to talk about. We want to talk about Russell Westbrook. Maybe touch on Bron again and the stuff he's doing. And then we want to probably finish off talking about some music and Drake's interview with Lil Yachty and the possibility of leaving music. Because that'll be interesting. He's one of our favorite artists, and it'd be sad to see him get out of the rap game if that's what he decided to do. But you want to talk about that now? Do you want to?
I mean, we can save that for last. I think that would be a good thing to end on.
So let's talk about Russell. Okay, Russell Westbrook. He's a Clipper. And he debuted. He debuted with the Los Angeles Clippers on what was that, Friday night?
Yep.
It's a Saturday that we're recording this, and he played well, and that was an insane game. Second highest scoring game ever in the NBA history. First was the Pistons in 1983 beat
The Nuggets.
86-83.
Yep, 186 to 184.
184.
And triple OT.
So if this one had gone triple, it probably exceeds.
It would have been
because it ended up being double OT, 175, 174, or 176, 175. One of those.
Yeah. I think it was 176, 174 final score.
And it was
176, 175 Clippers. Kings
beat the Clippers.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was. It was obviously anyone's game. Anyone's game. It was not gonna. No one dominated that game, except for a few players like Malik Monk.
Oh yeah.
De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
And Kawhi Leonard, of course. All three of those players scored 40 points, which is insane to see.
Yeah.
3 players score 40 in one game. But I do think, the story is Russell Westbrook, I think holding that, not making too many mistakes to allow that game to be ran away by the Kings, because I think he played within himself. He shot it efficiently except for behind the 3-point line. But besides that, if he can defend and get to the bucket, score some buckets, and he had 14 assists.
Yep.
That's a nice little line. First game, didn't turn it over too much. I like that. It's not easy to come in first game and have that kind of game, especially for a guy with all the scrutiny and struggles that he has on the court just shooting the basketball. It's not easy.
He was efficient last night.
The Kings weren't super effective at slowing him down, it seemed like.
No, yeah. When he gets a full head of steam, and you're not in front of him, it's a bucket almost every single time. But I'm also impressed with the way that he's been able to overcome some of the scrutiny. Because you remember in the last pod, we were wondering if he was going to, if we were going to see him with the team this year. But I did hear it came down between the Clippers and the Miami Heat, and he ended up signing with the Clippers. What a debut to make! Double OT, second highest scoring game in NBA history. I think the Clippers are going to be scary in the West, if I can be completely honest, because of the addition of Russell Westbrook. They were already a problem before. But I think the addition of Russell Westbrook, his ability to dish, you mentioned the 14 assists, his ability, to, blow by defenders and kick it off is going to be huge for them. He's still a high turnover guy, you understand, and yet even though he was efficient last night, he'll probably have some games where he goes like 5 for 18. But he does have his passing ability to fall back on, as well as his defense. And I think he's going to continue to play pretty good defense underneath Tyronn Lue, who's a great coach, and I believe is defensive minded. So man, I'm a fan of Russ, even though he joined the Clippers. I'm a Lakers fan right now because of my guy LeBron. I have no shame in saying it. I'm there for LeBron. But no doubt about it, the Clippers are going to be must-see TV, and they're going to be scary with Russell Westbrook playing alongside Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and some other great pieces they have over there.
I like the Clippers lineup too. I like them. I like Russell. I like Russell on this Clippers team more than the Lakers team, because I just think I think Russell plays best, and we saw it in Oklahoma City. In his prime, it's a little different player, because I noticed Russell still got some explosion to him, just not what it was, at the Thunder when he was in his prime, when he was, really a young guy still, not in his 30s. But on that team, he had great perimeter guys around him like Kevin Durant. I'm trying to think, they had a 2-guard that was also really good, but I can't exactly remember who it was.
James Harden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
James Harden.
That's the thing.
Beard.
That's the thing. Yeah, he came off the bench too for a lot of back when, when they were together. I think Harden maybe started when the playoffs came around, but he came off the bench for a lot. But my point is, I think he's best with when the elite guys on your team are perimeter oriented guys, so he can set them up for easy threes or dribble drives and stuff like that. Because when he has Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, I just like those two around him better than LeBron James and Anthony Davis. It's just two way different types of playing styles. We're talking about LeBron James can be your point guard, you know. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George can play point, but that is not their games, you know. I love Kawhi Leonard with the ball in his hands, and he should have the ball in his hands in one-on-one situations all the time.
Right on.
But that don't mean he needs to play point. You know, like
Yeah,
still can have Russell running the point with having those two guys just destroying teams, you know, off the ball. And then, you know, getting the ball and going one-on-one. I just like that setup more because I feel like that's the success when Russell has had those guys that can also shoot the basketball, because it didn't really work out with the Wizards, which I guess he did have Bradley Beal there, but that was kind of it, you know. Now he's got two really good offensive players and defensive players. That's the thing. I think they're scary too, especially on the defensive end. When you talk about Kawhi and Paul George's ability, and you throw in Russell Westbrook, that's a really good defensive backcourt. They could probably defend anyone in the backcourt in the league with that kind of athleticism out there. So
you know, I mean, the Clippers, like I said, they're scary. Outside of the big three, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, they also added a Norman Powell this year. They added Mason Plumlee. They added Eric Gordon, who is just a flat out scorer and can shoot from deep. They're just going to be nice, and I agree. I like Russell Westbrook on this team better than the Lakers. Fit wise,
yep.
I think he'll gel a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see. And yet, even though they lost against the Sacramento Kings in that thriller, they're pretty much a brand new team. The Clippers are, and this was a very good Sacramento team they faced. Sacramento's like fourth in the Western Conference, underneath their new head coach Mike Brown, who is probably going to win Coach of the Year this year. So. Man, the Western Conference, when it comes playoff time, is going to be must-see TV. I'm hoping for a Lakers-Clippers matchup. But Russell Westbrook, I'm happy for you. He's a guy who deals with a lot of criticism. He got booed when he was playing for the Lakers. He got booed on his home floor, you know, for turnovers. People wanted him out of there, man. But he handled that situation when he needed to go, when Darvin Ham had him come off the bench. Yeah, you know, initially he didn't take it, you know, very well, but he bounced back and was just performing at a high level off the bench in the 6th Man of the Year conversation. And then, he got let go by the Lakers. And guess what? We see him in the Clippers practice facility with a smile on his face, ready to take on a new challenge. So you got to call Russell Westbrook what you want. You got to salute him for, you know, how he's handling his situation, how he's handling his career. And so far, he's off to a good start with the Clippers. And I'll be looking forward to seeing what he does for the remainder of the year, going into the postseason, assuming that the Clippers make the playoffs.
Yes. I think he's, like you said earlier, he's probably going to have some games that frustrate some Clipper fans. I think that's going to come. But with a better fit like we think, and I think, with the players that he has around him and Paul George and Kawhi, I just don't think he will feel like the need to have to do as much out on the floor. Whereas with the Lakers, he probably felt like he was probably the second perimeter guy after LeBron to, you know, be the go-to guy out there. Now he just doesn't need to be that way. Even though that he shouldn't have felt that way with guys like Dennis Schroeder and stuff. Also on that team, Schroeder really played well in that last game. But and so did Malik Beasley. Talk about the Lakers. That's going to be a scary team for some teams. Malik Beasley was strapping in that last game. And I really like his play too. He's a good player.
Me too.
Good pickup. I hope to see them in hope to see them battle each other. That'd be a good series, Clippers Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be keeping a close eye on Russell because I wouldn't be surprised if that series came about. He has some good games and then some games where he loses the game for them. So
we might as well talk about the Lakers real quick, man. Like you just mentioned, they added some new additions. D'Angelo Russell, right at the top of the list there. Yeah. Unfortunately, he just sprained his ankle last game. I forgot who they were playing the Golden State Warriors without Steph, of course. But the Lakers still managed to pull it out. The old roster would not have been able to win a game like that with their top dogs going down. And but they added, aside from D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, who balled out like you mentioned, Jared Vanderbilt, Rory Hachimura. They added a lot of new guys. It's a completely different Lakers team. But they're 13th or 12th in the Western Conference. So it's possible that if they don't take care of business in their last 22 games, I think they have left, they could miss the playoff. Not only miss the playoffs, but miss the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
And LeBron, when he was asked about their remaining schedule, the Lakers' remaining schedule, he told reporters that these last 22 games are going to be the most important games of his regular season career. And that's saying a lot for a guy like LeBron, who's had a 20-year career, who just became the all-time leading scorer. And you can tell that chip is on his mind. Yeah. He still wants that championship. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to be tuned in. I love that they have a goal in place now. Maybe one day on the podcast we'll talk about the importance of goal setting and how that just drives everything right there. And I'm going to be. I've watched every Laker game this year, but I'm really going to be watching these remaining games that they have. They play Dallas tomorrow. Luka. Kyrie Irving now. D'Angelo Russell is doubtful that game, but I still feel like the Lakers are in good shape with Malik Beasley, a healthy Anthony Davis, a healthy LeBron James. So it should be a good one.
How about Austin Reeves too?
Oh man,
he's a guy that's been on the Lakers for a little while. I actually saw him in college. He played at Oklahoma. So
he started Wichita State too.
Yeah,
he transferred
to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
he's always been a real good ISO guy. That really can dribble the ball, find spaces, and make shots off the dribble. And I feel like I saw a little bit of that against Golden State.
He's a dog, man. Like I said, his offensive game is so fundamental and smooth, but on the defensive end, I texted you this, he's scrappy too. He's a scrappy guy. He doesn't mind, taking elbows. I've seen him get elbowed in the face so many times this season.
Yep.
But he thugs it out, he toughens it out, like I like to call it either. And he's back on his feet, and he plays so hard. I like him a lot. What is he in his second season, maybe?
He's young, I know that.
Yeah,
he's just at Oklahoma a few years ago. It wasn't long ago.
And you couldn't even tell by watching him play. He carries himself with such professionalism, and if you all hear this and then go off to watch a Lakers game, pay close attention to Austin Reeves, man. He's a key piece on this Lakers team, in my opinion, and it's going to complement everybody.
I like what he did. He had a nice runner through the lane where he went through two defenders, laid it in crazy. Hit a three. He's a good player. Way better than I thought. He had a chance in the NBA, but I didn't expect him to be a guy where he's getting big minutes in big games like this.
Didn't either.
This soon into his career too. So kudos to Austin Reeves.
And LeBron really likes him.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot. LeBron speaks highly of Austin Reeves. So that's pretty good.
That says a lot. And I think it's all skill with Austin Reeves, too, because he's not a physically imposing guy. Obviously, you see him out there. He's kind of small, honestly.
Not the most athletic, even though he can get up.
Yeah.
Even though he can get up and dunk.
He showed athleticism on that layup going between two players. The way he contorted his body, he's a solid piece. I think the Lakers are scary now, and it's crazy how quickly they were able to make themselves scary. Because before, to me, they didn't scare anyone. Now they're younger, more talented. They've set themselves up for the future better because of that too. So it's not just this year, because LeBron's going to play another still probably 4 or 5 years of elite basketball. I believe he can if he wants to.
Hell yeah.
At least another 3.
He said it. He said he believes he can play at a high level for at least another 4 years, and he has a dream of playing in the NBA with his son. So I think he's doing whatever he possibly can do to make that happen. But yeah, the Lakers, like, they're out right now. They're not in playoff contention. I don't think they're in the play-in tournament. I think they are in the play-in tournament right now. But what Darvin Ham, the Lakers head coach, and LeBron James, what they express is that they want to get that 6th seed, so that means they don't even have to play in the play-in tournament. They're just an automatic lock-in for the playoffs. And in order for them to get that, these last 22 games, they're probably going to have to go, they're going to have to win the majority of them. They won 2 games in a row. So I say they had to, if they can go on a 5-game win streak, that'll be pretty helpful. And they have to play above 500 basketball. They can't they can't split the remaining games. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. And I think the Lakers. Should I put it out there?
Go ahead. I know what you're gonna say. Probably. I know what. I probably heard this. What he's about to say at least every year that we've known each other.
I'm not gonna go as far as winning a championship right now, because they even though they're a little bit more scarier, like you said, they got a lot to prove.
Yeah.
I think they will get that 6th seed. I think they'll finish with a pretty deep. I think they can probably go 18-4 over the last. I know.
It's tough to do. It's tough to do in the NBA.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we are pretty optimistic people. But I think it can happen. They're driven. They're going for it. I don't think it's going to happen by chance, but I think
when you got LeBron James on your side, you got a decent chance.
Yeah. Health is going to be there. Health is going to be their thing.
Anthony Davis needs to stay healthy.
Health is going to be their thing. So yeah, you can. Hey, mark my words. With a healthy LeBron James, a healthy AD, now I got to include a healthy D'Angelo Russell. Those guys can stay. If those guys can avoid serious injury, the Lakers will get that at least the 6th seed, and we'll see them in the playoffs.
I do like D'Angelo on this team a lot more than Russell. I think he he adds that shooting ability that just matters so much. And then he's a better, I think, point guard than people give him credit for, because he is a flashy scorer, but he's a facilitator too. He knows how to facilitate. But when you're playing with LeBron James, I bet you he doesn't even need to worry about that much, because he can play off the ball with LeBron on the ball, that can set up some nice things for both D'Angelo and AD and Austin Reeves and Malik Beasley, who just went.
You might as well name the whole team.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The Lakers. I wish I could say differently, but the Lakers got scary in a matter of
you wish you could say differently.
Yeah, he knows. I always gotta go against LeBrizzi, even though
I might have to get you with Brian on some 2K.
Oh yeah, after this, we have to wrap this up here soon, because we'll talk about Drake here. Let's move on to Drake.
Yeah, let's go.
He was on a Lil Yachty podcast, and obviously some people love to take clickbaity material and make it even more clickbaity and say, hey, it's imminent. Drake is leaving the rap game, kind of stuff gets put out on the internet. Nah, he just said, you actually listened to it. What did he say? Because I only listened to the clip. You listened to the whole thing, right?
He said something similar to what he said a few years ago, but basically it was like he's thinking about, lately he's been thinking heavily of making a graceful exit from the rap game, and I think he's just implying he wants to put out albums that are really, really good, so that people can look at the end of his career and say, okay, like whenever he does decide to step down, that he left on a high note. And then he started talking about athletes and how he doesn't want to be. He made the comparison to an athlete like, all right, he doesn't want to leave the game, and people think that he was just already on his way out. Like, oh, he was getting old and worn down anyway. He was like, he wants to leave people with the impression like he was playing at a high level and he probably could have played some more years if he wanted to. So I think that's what he meant. And like it was a short clip that came out. People took the bait, and I remember the day the full interview dropped on Drake's Instagram story. He put full interview out now. He may have said something else after that, but then he left it with a hashtag not retiring yet.
Yeah.
So that's good news. I don't think Drake is done. I was scared for a second. I was hoping it wasn't true because, that's my favorite artist, favorite rapper. Insert, whatever you
only
consider
36
Drake to be.
years old.
Yeah, only 36. Only 36.
He's got so much more time.
So much more. Look at Jay-Z. Jay-Z, even though we haven't, Jay-Z putting out music, hopping on verses, even though we haven't had a Jay-Z album in a long time. He's still involved.
This man still puts out Lil Wayne.
Come on now.
He's 40 years
Just
old.
turned 40. Yeah.
I know people don't like to, love on Lil Wayne like they used to, but I still think, in my opinion, he's the greatest rapper alive, and I know he has a song that says that too. But I'm not just saying that because of the song. I truly believe that. He's, the stuff he's put out, the catalogs he's put out, and stuff he still puts out with people every now and then. I find it top tier stuff. I do. Even the Carter 5, a lot of people hate on that album. That stuff has some real passion, some real good, really good songs, some different stuff from him too, some deeper stuff. And that's the stuff I like when it comes to rap.
Same here.
Yeah, I think he's only evolved and gotten better, honestly.
Yeah,
so
I think so too.
To me, he's the best rapper alive, and then Drake is just right behind him, only 4 years younger. And
did you watch the full
I had not
interview?
Not with
Lil
Yachty.
It was a good interview, and then he dropped him and 21 Savage. They're still doing their. I wouldn't consider it a rollout, but they just dropped the music video, "The Spin About You."
I gotta watch that.
The music video is pretty interesting. I don't want to give out any spoilers if none of you have watched it yet, but I'll say you should watch that too.
Okay.
So yeah, man, it's. Drizzy isn't done yet, so
good.
That's good news.
That is good news for us.
I think we may be getting another project in 2023. Maybe a tour, him and 21 Savage. Hopefully they stop by. I heard they're doing a stadium tour. Hopefully they stop by Arrowhead. Him and Mahomes seem cool.
That would be cool.
He put up $1 million or $500,000 bet on the cheap. It was
$1 million, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so Mahomes probably, hey man, come there, hook that up.
Oh,
make sure you
that's a great point. He probably does come through Kansas City just thanks to, if not just thanks to Pat Mahomes. Yeah, my guy.
Shout out Drizzy, shout out Pat Mahomes. They had a State Farm commercial together.
Oh yeah.
I think it aired in not this Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl before this one. I think it aired in that commercial.
Well, and Drake put him in one of his songs. I think in CLB and Certified Lover Boy. Something like, I think it was
the
7 a.m. on Bridal Path, wasn't it?
No, it was the Lemon Pepper freestyle.
Yes!
Lemon Pepper freestyle.
Oh, see, I've been listening to that.
And on that one, he said that he bet on Patrick Mahomes, but he ended up losing money because that was when we played.
Yeah.
That was when we played Tampa in the Super Bowl and ended up losing. But
and now he's betting on him and he's winning money.
Yeah, it's good to hear that Drake got his money on Kansas City Chiefs.
But hey, I think that pretty much does us for this episode. We appreciate you tuning in. If you actually listened to the whole thing, if we didn't put you to sleep, we're gonna keep getting better. Try to get more concise with each episode. At some point, maybe we throw in little quick hitters. Thanks to some suggestions from some good friends of ours.
Shout out B-Part.
Shout out B-Part,
the creator of our Mental Fitness Hub logo.
Yes, sir. One day we'll have our own basketball court somewhere, and we can have that logo in the center court or something.
This is yeah.
That'll be where our studio is.
Inside look of us cooking up ideas. Yeah. Any ideas or suggestions y'all have, please comment. DM us. And we're
disagree
open.
with anything that we said, especially
Yeah.
to anything even
have a convo.
controversial. We're interested, you know.
Yeah.
We're interested.
And we'll respect you all's opinions, and we got to get back to respecting each other, respecting how people, respecting people's perspectives.
Especially, I think it should be the normal to, give respect 1st.
Mhm.
Don't even think about giving disrespect until you have a real good reason to. Because so
Exactly.
many people nowadays give out disrespect without any, really good reason.
Exactly.
And it's so easy on the phone to just send out something really shitty and make people's days feel like shit for no reason. That's why I also say for mental health, avoid the comment section sometimes because they can get nasty, especially if you have a big enough following. Bigger than us. If you happen to be bigger than us, listening to us, because the bigger of a following you have, the more haters that come with that kind of stuff, and the more you're gonna have to get that hate in your inboxes and stuff like that. And the best way to take care of the mental health is ignore that bullshit. To be honest,
we probably gonna get some haters. So.
Oh yeah, I think we probably already got some. They're probably already cooking up some ideas of how to hate on us. So.
But we're gonna be able to handle it because our mind's gonna be right and sharp. So come on.
Yeah, bring it. All right, we'll see y'all next time.